want to finish us off with a nice, easy topic that shouldn't have anyone too angry at each other, so we can all be friends again, okay? Let's talk about abortion. I'm pretty sure I know what you're all going to say. It's federal jurisdiction. I promise not to touch it. Province can't do anything anyhow. Okay, we've got that out of the way. So let's talk about what does fall directly under Alberta's jurisdiction. Before the last election, the NDP passed a so-called abortion bubble zone law that banned any kind of protest within 150 meters of an abortion clinic, even though harassment of that kind that they cited was clearly already illegal. At the time, the UCP caucus refused to vote on the bill. In the wake of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the NDP have called for the building of many more abortion clinics across Alberta. On the other side, pro-life groups have said that the Alberta government should not be spending taxpayers' money on elective abortions. Ms. Smith, as Premier, would you maintain the NDP's no protest legislation, and would you remove taxpayer funding of elective abortions?
Look, guys, I know that this is a very heated issue, and I don't think that we find a solution where we can find some common ground by having these points of conflict like this. I have spent my whole career trying to find ways that libertarians and social conservatives can find areas that they agree on. So I would hope that we would not have to revisit that issue, because I think that that creates an environment of conflict which can escalate because you're dealing with a very sensitive issue of life. My view is that we need to be focused on what was the original promise was that abortion would be safe, legal, and rare. And I would like to see us spend more time and effort in supporting women to make a different choice with adoption. I think that's the way that you unite. There's a lot of families. I know one in southern Alberta who has spent $50,000 doing a private adoption. If we can make sure that women know that there's that option available, I think that that's a way that we can unite our choice movement and our life movement.
Okay. Mr. Toews, would you repeal the no protesting legislation, and would you ever consider removing taxpayer funding of the elective abortions?
What I'll say right off the bat, and I'm happy to say this every time I'm asked, my personal position on abortion, my personal view would put me in the pro-life camp. And I'm happy to legitimize that position every time I'm asked. But I recognize it's a complicated issue, and there's passionate positions held by really good people right across the spectrum. So I would do a number of things. I would focus on expanding conscience rights for healthcare providers, so that healthcare providers don't have to ultimately undertake services and activities that breach their conscience. I would also further support expectant mothers, especially mothers who might find themselves with an unintended pregnancy. And I would look to make adoption far more streamlined, so that children who need a good home can find a good home with loving parents. That would be my approach.
Last softball question to you, Mr. Jean. Would you, as Premier, repeal the no protest legislation, and would you ever consider removing the taxpayer funding of elective abortions?
The number one priority of government is to keep the public safe, and public policy would be, in this particular case, to not have conflict between two groups that have conflict on a constant basis. And I think removing that would see constant problems, and I would not remove that. I am pro-life as well. I lost a child, and I tell you, if you want to be pro-life, that's the situation that will make you pro-life. And I think that we should do exactly what these two people have said. I've come forward with a concrete plan on this. I think we should. I've done adoptions. They take 2 years, 3 years sometimes to do an adoption where everybody's in favor of it. Why are we doing that? Why are we not providing more supports for the people that are actually doing the adoptions? Let's quicken them up. 3 months. Let's have a special judge do that. I can get that done. I know how to get that done, folks. One special judge, just like a surrogate judge that hears them by phone. These can be done. They don't need to see them in person. They don't have to wait for them to come. Safety nets for young mothers. That's where I want to focus. Let's make sure that people have another option. They can finish school. They can go to work. They can do what they need. The government needs to supply housing and education for these people. Thank you.
Thank you.